part is a disqualifier for you. I don't feel like it's ever overwhelming for you.
Oh, I think in the middle of the night, it's always overwhelming. But that's when I have to like
Well,
shut it down.
I'm asleep. So
yeah, you're asleep. You are. You sleep great.
Yeah. I'm like,
that's what I was going to say.
I would-
Mine shows up when I start to spin in the middle of the night, but I would say that is more me just having a hard time and turning off my brain.
Welcome to this week's episode of Teaching Keating. What
Good.
was that?
No, I was happy.
Too much?
I liked it. No, it was
Too
good.
much?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I liked
Welcome
it.
to this week's episode of No.
Was this an NPR? What are we doing?
Was that a good NPR voice?
It was. It was a really good. One.
Welcome to this week's
I always
episode
think
of
of
Teaching
like,
Keating.
why are they hiring those people? They sound like they're like.
They have good radio voices.
I mean, I don't know. They sound very boring.
I think a good radio
Yeah.
voice is just something that sounds different
Like a
from any
calm-
normal voice.
Okay.
You
I
have a
don't
good
know what that
radio
means.
voice.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing
thanks.
that I keep hearing on the road.
Well, mine's not NPR though.
No.
I just have a low voice. Everyone always thought I was a smoker. Like in high school, they'd be like, "Do you smoke?" I'm like, no.
You did for a bit.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't. I never smoked. I had a really bad breakup, and I had like a 2-week window my sophomore year in college where I like chain smoked for like 2 weeks, and then was like, "Oh, this is disgusting and totally filthy," and I was
Maybe
done.
that's why your voice got so deep.
That wasn't it. It was spoiler alert. It was low way before. Both my parents have low voices.
That's
As
true.
do yours.
Our
So our kids both have low voices.
it was funny when
Yeah.
our son Everett was born.
Yeah.
Your mom
Yeah, came to the
walked in,
hospital.
came to
Yeah.
the hospital and didn't know what room we were in,
Uh-huh.
and said she was able to find the right room
Yeah.
just based on how low Everett's cry
And
was.
it was really low.
Yeah, because you have a low voice, I have a low voice, and Everett was crying like,
There's
"Wah,
that lady. I know.
wah."
I don't know. That's what she said. True story. Great.
We can link today's episode to pop culture. Here's the loose link.
Okay. Are we linking it? Please go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
what about you hate this movie?
I
What about
don't
Bob
hate
is
it.
a great
I haven't seen it
movie?
in a long time.
What-
So
okay.
I have very minimal memories.
That's
of it,
fine.
but
We don't.
okay.
It can be loose.
Loose. Great. Okay.
I
That's all
was
need.
only thinking about it because
Okay.
it was actually on the other day.
Oh, really?
And
Did
yes,
you watch it?
I watched.
What was it on?
I watched part of it
Okay.
because I think Bill Murray's hysterical.
You love Bill Murray.
And it was
Who
this.
doesn't?
It was
Yes.
the scene
Mhm.
where he's like, "Baby, step out of the office. I feel good.
He's
I feel
neurotic,
great. I
right?
feel wonderful."
He's the
Yeah,
he's not the client, but he's the patient
Yes.
in the movie.
He
Okay, I'm
suffers
recalling.
from like profound social anxiety.
Sure.
He's agoraphobic. He's
He's agoraphobic, afraid to be outside.
afraid to be around crowds.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Do you think I'm agoraphobic?
No, I
Okay,
think you
good.
just get tired of people pretty easily because you're around them all the time.
You're not
No,
agoraphobic, Weston.
You're
You're
just
just
annoyed.
not a very nice
Mhm.
person.
You are. You're a nice person. You just
Yeah.
are exposed to lots of groups
I
of
have
people.
to people
all
a lot.
the time. You
Yeah,
do have to people.
I have to people a
so
lot.
I think your tolerance.
So when I
Yeah.
get to the point where I'm done peopling,
yeah, you just get tired. You're in airports a lot.
okay.
That's not agoraphobic.
So I want to talk today about the difference between worry and
Oh,
anxiety,
good.
right?
Sure.
How
How much time do we have?
Yeah, right.
I hope we
Uh,
can get it all in.
So
Yes.
so there's a weird trend happening right
Okay.
now, and I don't know if you agree or not. I don't know
Okay.
that we've talked about this.
I don't know. Tell me about it, and then I'll let you know.
I feel like people are almost like fetishizing,
Okay.
if that's a word, anxiety.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know if that's the right
there's
use of it, but sure.
There's an eagerness to sort of like embrace anxiousness.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of this for sure.
Yes.
Right. Like, again, especially in like social settings, like when I have to stand in a small group of people
Yeah.
and I'm just like, ugh, do I have social anxiety? Like, no, you're just
You're just
awkward.
awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Which
you.
is not the same.
Yes. Not the same.
Yeah. Good for us to distinguish though.
Yeah. Because
'Cause
worry,
I think people are
worry
confusing
and
that.
anxiety are
Mhm.
different.
Very different.
Worry is specific and fleeting,
Sure.
and anxiety is persistent and overwhelming.
Right.
And I think it's important that we differentiate between the two,
Mhm.
because I think that worry can actually be helpful.
Right.
And I think anxiety can be painful and
Sure.
debilitating.
Right.
Do you?
Have you suffered from both, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
so.
as parents, you just like, come on. You just live in those states perpetually here and there.
I think
Depends on
I think
don't-
there's maybe one or two things
Okay.
that I am like working through anxiousness about.
Sure.
There's tons of things that I worry about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you are anxious about anything?
I all the time. I think especially like when you're on the road, but for me, anxiousness shows up a little bit different. I would say of the two of us, I tend to be more anxious, I would say.
Really?
Particularly in parenting. You don't think? Maybe not. I don't know. I think I was pretty
I think
happy-go-lucky, free-spirited until my children showed up. And then I think I sort of, and
here's
I will just say familially, I have more of a history of that. So I just want to put that out there because I do think that does
here's
show up in terms of
here's why
pattern of behavior.
here's why I think you don't qualify.
Oh, okay.
Because if we're looking at anxiety as persistent and overwhelming,
Right.
the latter part is a disqualifier for you. I don't feel like it's ever overwhelming for you.
Oh, I think in the middle of the night, it's always overwhelming. But that's when I have to like
Well,
shut it down.
I'm asleep. So
yeah, you're asleep. You sleep great.
Yeah. I'm like,
that's what I was going to say.
I would-
Mine shows up when I start to spin in the middle of the night, but I would say that is more me just having a hard time and turning off my brain for like things that are on my list. And I have gotten better at sort of how to manage that. But I would say in the early stages of parenting, especially when our kids were little, I had constant, and I think that was probably hormones and some other postpartum stuff actually showing up.
Is the kids, like when you think about things that you're anxious about, is it kids, end of list?
End of list.
Yeah.
Always related.
Well, that makes me feel
beginning, end.
That makes me feel really superficial.
No, it doesn't.
I worry.
Have to. You have different expectations around that.
I worry about the kids and how we're parenting.
Right.
The only thing I feel anxious about
is work.
Is money.
Yeah. But that is also behaviorally on point for you. I mean, that tracks familially. So I think a lot of it has to do with like things we're not saying, but I think a lot of it has to do with just like how our anxiousness and or worry was presented to us in our families of origin and like how that shows up.
Okay, then here's a hard question. Yeah. What do you think our kids feel anxious about?
Probably the same things we do. Well, maybe not. Like I'll just say as a kid, there were things like I felt uncertain about certain familial things and behaviors and just emotions of my parents. So I felt like very uncertain of like how they were feeling emotionally a lot of times. Like I took that on. And so I would say that's where a lot of my anxiousness and worry comes from in adulthood, which is I want to make sure I'm equipped and feeling like I'm on point. I'm flying this plane. We are good to go. Everything's ready. And so my worry and anxiousness comes around like,
I think a lot of kids,
am I feeling like 100% stable? We are on point. We're driving the ship. Am I good for my kids? That's a lot of mine.
I think a lot of kids feel anxious about the sort of like helping regulate the emotional circumstances that their parents are in.
Yeah.
I think I was the same.
Sure.
I think it's one of the reasons why like when I feel uncomfortable, I resort to like, okay, like try to be funny.
Yeah.
Because like my parents both worked. Like my dad worked alternating 12s. Like my mom worked long hours. And so we'd be sitting around the dinner table and my poor parents are just exhausted. And you can feel that as a kid.
Yeah.
And it creates tension. And so like,
okay,
let me break this tension by trying to be like the funny person at our table so that we can all laugh together.
Right.
And when I think about like, what are our kids anxious about? Like, I think Everett feels that.
I think he feels it in terms of, I know how he feels it because he's labeled it for me.
Everett feels anxious about pleasing us.
Well, I don't think he feels anxious about pleasing us. I do feel like he feels anxious like when you're on the road about making sure everything's
you're taken care of. Yeah.
And we've talked about that a lot. And this is personal to you. It is the nature of our life.
Yeah.
So you don't need to spin out of control about this because I'm looking at your face right now.
I'm not spinning.
Okay.
I'm totally fine.
Okay.
I'm totally cool.
I'm handling
I'm not.
it. It's great.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. It's just the nature of our life. And that's okay. And I've had to say to him, hey, this is an adult problem. You don't have to worry about that. That's not anything that you have to be concerned about. We're safe. We're in our home. Dad is safe. He's at his destination. Like we are good. You're okay. Like just go to sleep. Yeah. But that is a thing that comes up in terms of just like safety and feeling like, okay, what's my role in some of this, especially as he's gotten older.
Is there anything our daughter feels anxious about? I can't think of not one thing.
Sometimes I feel like she's just like smooth sailing, and sometimes I wish she would be more concerned with like some of the things that are going on in her life.
She's anxious about anything.
I do think she cares about.
We should ask her.
She cares about school and she cares about dance a lot, but it's not about pleasing or anxiousness around what we care about. It's mostly just about her wanting to do well, and she cares a lot about other people seeing that she's trying hard and doing well.
Yeah.
And not us, but people that she cares about and she respects.
Yeah.
She wants them to know that she also cares. So I think that is, I don't know. Maybe she's working it out as she gets older.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a little bit more self-assured than our son though.
What do you worry?
She's a different
What do
human
you
being.
worry about?
Just again, the children, period, end of
No,
story.
because that's anxiousness.
It's different in the sense of like,
worry is specific and temporary.
yes, I understand.
And
I got the distinction early.
That's persistent.
The kids is constant, persistent, but the worry is more individual to each child.
I feel like you worry about the schedule.
Less
constantly.
about the schedule, but
and
more
that nothing gets dropped.
Nothing gets dropped. That is a worry, that they are where they need to be at any given time, and that they feel like I've got them. So like that's a worry, right? So that's not a constant anxiousness, but it is a worry of like, do they feel confident in me that I'm prepared enough that they feel like they don't have to handle things that shouldn't be on their plate as a kid, right? They can handle things and have responsibility. That's their kid stuff, like their things that they have to do. Good. You need that responsibility. Those should be on your plates. I shouldn't be doing that for you. And I hope that they're at an age where they're doing more of that. Again, a worry. Am I giving them enough responsibility? Am I taking too much? But I do want them to constantly feel like the things that are my responsibilities, I've got that. I have that handled. That's not on your plate. You stay in your lane.
I think that's
that's
a difference between worry and anxiety too. Because I think anxiety is transmitted.
Sure.
Right? Like it's transferred.
Sure.
And
my mom feels anxious. Now I should feel anxious. She's nervous. I'm nervous.
Correct.
I felt that a lot as a
kid.
So my mom's really nervous. She feels unsettled about this. She feels concerned. And so should I be nervous? I don't know. I'm not nervous, but maybe do I need to be? And all of those emotional states.
Like the anxiousness that I have about money.
Yeah.
I think I've probably transferred that. I think I caught it from somewhere, but I also think I've transferred that, which is such a bummer and sucks to say out loud.
Sure. We talked about that with the money stuff though. It's deep rooted.
Yeah.
You can't run interference all the time on every single thing that is every part of your personality. The kids are going to get some of it, whether you want them to or not.
Is worry helpful?
I think when it's directed.
And when?
So yes, it's when it's directed and when it's put in a healthy way. Like for example, we talked about our son like really carrying. He got nervous before, football games.
Yeah, and
we were like, great. That's great. That should be, and I don't know if it's anxiousness or worry or whatever, but that means you care.
Yes.
That's a great place to be.
Yes.
It's good. You need to live in that
discomfort. If you're worried or nervous or stressed about something, I totally agree with that.
It means you care.
It means you care, and that's really healthy.
I like that.
If you're not ever worried about anything, then you haven't found the things that you care about.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I worry, I worry about things in our marriage. I worry about things in parenting. I worry before I go up on stage in front of a bunch of people, there's worry, there's stress, but it's fleeting. It's temporary because it's just like, oh, okay. And then I get to a place where I realize like, okay, we're good. Okay. The kids are good. Okay. Like, hey, I'm doing this thing at work and I'm good at this and you settle into it. But I do think that worry is a really good indicator of whether or not you care.
I do think so too. And I remember saying to Everett, I was like, hey, this is great. Makes you sharp.
Yeah.
This is good. If it's debilitating for you and you can't step out onto the field, then we need to have a different conversation. Yeah. Then that's a problem. Then it's overtaking you. But this is just a place in your emotions that you're feeling right now, which I'm great for you to sit with. This is awesome. Get some discomfort there. That's great.
We heard something really good at church yesterday that I think actually translates well to this.
Okay.
It was
I don't know what you're gonna say, but I'm so excited.
It was the quote about suffering.
Oh yes.
Right? And it was just like, hey,
like
how much you love something is directly correlated to how much you're willing to suffer for it. And it was great. I'm always looking for moments like that, like whether it's in church or hearing a speaker or another teacher, just like a nugget I can take away. And I think that ties into worry, right? Because like worry is a type of suffering. Right. And so it's like, hey,
discomfort,
if you love something or somebody enough to worry about it and suffer through that worry, then that's a good sign.
Right. Means you're invested. Means you care. You're not frivolous. It's not. Yeah. I think that's good.
And if you're not worried about it, then it means you don't care. And then maybe you need to go figure out like what the things are that you care about.
Which is to the point of our daughter. Like I do know she worries about things that she really cares about, which is like why I said, dance and that kind of stuff. Not necessarily related to us, but no, there are things that she worries and cares about. And that's great because she wants to prepare and she wants to do well. And it's important for her.
How do you help kids manage worry?
I mean, how do you help anybody manage worry? I think all the healthy things, right? All the things that we've been talking about for forever, but really intentionally. So like having a really intentional physical outlet for me, and I'll just talk about myself personally because I'm the one who tends to worry more than you. You're always like, we're doing great.
Yeah.
We're crushing.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
like, are we?
I'm
Are we
only
doing good
I'm
in
only
all those
focused on
things?
my anxiousness.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Are we okay? Because I have a whole list of things that we probably should check in about. But there you go. There's the difference. But I do think managing anyway. So always having a physical outlet.
Yeah.
Right. Take a walk. Get outside. Do something. I know that sounds so simplistic and remedial, but changing your physical surroundings and being physical about anything will always change your mood. It just will.
Changing your physical state is the easiest way to change your mental state.
Right. And I always want to tell the kids, just like go do some jumping jacks. It's funny. We had a neighbor who her daughter, she's a Division I athlete. And when she was a kid, she's the only child, she'd spin out of control. And her mom would be like, calm down, sit in here and just like do some push-ups.
Yeah.
And I remember her telling me that, like, before you even talk anymore, you're really adolescent-y, you're having an attitude right now, do 50 push-ups. I'm not kidding. And she would like sit, like whether they're in restaurants or whatever, they would be like, make her do something physical because she had to get out of the like crazy spinning state that she was in. And she was like, it worked beautifully, especially for those adolescent behaviors that are just not ideal. So changing your physical state, it's good for everyone. And then for me, I always say about this, like working out and eating well, but I can tell when I haven't had good vitamins or when I haven't eaten well, my mood is always in the toilet. Just straight to the basement. So I have to be really specific about what I'm putting in my body, how much I've worked out, how much I've, and then sleep. I mean, things that sound super easy, but are really tricky to get, especially when you're on the road. All those things, if those things are aligned, I could run the universe.
Managing worry.
I really could.
Sleep is a big one. It's like, hey,
a huge one.
If you're really worried about something, like go to bed. Let's wake up in the morning.
Right.
Like, let's see if the worry dissipates a little bit, because chances are it will.
And then you wake up, and if you're worried, then you're waking up and you're not sleeping, and then you're worried about that. So I don't look at the clock. I always take magnesium. I have a lot of systems in place because I do know that this is a thing for me, especially when you're on the road where I just bubble up.
I think all those are great. I think one of the other things too that we need to teach kids is when it comes to worry, lean in.
Right.
Don't be worry avoidant.
Right.
Lean in.
Don't just push it down.
Because
like, people do. Yeah.
Recognize like, oh, I'm worried. That means I care about this.
Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I think it's hard because in modern culture, I think we try to seek out comfort
all the time
in so many parts of our lives. And so it's like, because we've become such a comfort culture, those moments when worry pops up, it's like, just
go play video games.
Oh, this feels uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like, let me withdraw and seek comfort.
Right.
Like, because I'm worried about this thing, like, let's scratch it all together. Right. Let's withdraw and let's go seek the thing that's comfortable. No. No. Like, when you're worried, lean in.
Right.
Lean into the worry and do the thing that's scary.
Right.
Do the thing that's worrisome and work through, not around.
Right. And I think we're just used to pacifying kids because, frankly, and maybe this is just me, sometimes it's easier. It's easier for them. It's easier for us than to like stop when you're in the middle of carpool and have a conversation about like why you're worried or before, or, you're running late to something, or there's just never an opportune time, or you're exhausted from the whole day because you didn't sleep that well night before. And your kid wants to talk about all the things that are, when right at bedtime. And that's always when it happens. But it's just like, that's the time where you have to lean in. Those are the moments where it has to be like, you have to take the time to actually address the things.
This happened with Charlotte a couple of weeks ago with her auditions, right? Like she was worried. She was nervous. Yeah. And it's just like, and it's like, okay, let's work through this.
Talk about it.
And sometimes it's about reminding them like, hey, this worry is normal.
Sure.
Number one. And number two, like, let's right now our vision is narrow.
Right.
Let's expand our vision a little bit and recognize like we've been through this process before, and you've had successful experiences with this in the past. Yeah. And there's no reason for you to expect that moving forward, that's going to change. Right. Like you've had successful experiences. So let's operate under the presumption this is going to be an addition to those successful experiences. Like, because we don't have any evidence otherwise right now.
And I think, something that I'm working on, I haven't gotten that much better with it, but I'm trying, I'm at least aware of it now, is like not constantly giving them the solutions. But to your point, you said, okay, let's look at these experiences. You've already been through this experience. How did it end last time? Great. Let's go back to that. Remember that? Great. And similar with our son, when you've had success, so like you're worried about these things, you're probably going to continue to feel this way. That's great. And feelings are information, and they're just going to help you understand why you're in this place, why you're feeling this place, but also how to get not around it, like you said before, but how to move through it in a healthy way. You've had a lot of success with that. So let's just remember that, and let's rightly size it. Because I think a lot of the times, especially with you and I can tend to blow things out of proportion, or you can perhaps do the same.
Or often do the same.
And I think, right sizing for our kids, like we used a lot of like, is this a big problem, a medium problem, or a little problem with our kids when they were younger? And even like that language is like, the
hard thing with kids is everything feels like a big problem. It does. Because their world is small.
Right. And where is this in the scheme of things? And as they've gotten older, we don't use that language so much anymore, because they're like, what are you trying to say to me, Mom? Like they
like I know
stop manipulating me.
I know what you're trying to do.
Educating
and I'm
parents.
not here for it.
Yeah. I'm not interested in that right now. So just wait out. So it's not as effective as it was in the past.
No.
But even like right sizing for, okay, like you already did it for sure without labeling it for. You said, okay, remember the experiences you've already been through. How did that end up? Great. Let's just remember that and then go in eyes wide open.
How do you help them deal with things they're anxious about?
Yeah. I
think we have to recognize those moments, like when we're fighting a battle that we can't win alone.
Right.
And so like linking our kids with people, because you just talked about it. There are certain things that we can't speak into our kids' lives about. And this is where teachers and coaches and other people become really, really important.
Well, and we say this a lot, even in adulthood. Like you say this a lot in our own relationships. Like there are things you can say to people in my life that it could be the exact same words, but because it's coming from you and not from me, it's way better. And that's true of all the children in your life, whether they're in your classroom or you're your own children. Like you're gonna hit a place where they're just gonna stop listening to your words. But even if those words are effective and they're really helpful, but those words can still come from someone else. And you have to just like kind of die to self. Like, it's okay. They don't have to come from me. If you're hearing them from people who love you and have your best interest and are trying to see you and help you move forward, however they're helping you logistically with managing those things that are coming up for you, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's fine that it's not coming from me, as long as you're learning to move through and not avoid.
Yeah. And you're talking about it. Because I think the more that you can talk about things that you're anxious about, the more they transition from anxious to worry.
Right. And they're just not scary.
Yeah.
They're not as scary. And then I think having those people, great. Well, this stuff is going to come up for you. What are your systems? I mean, I talked about mine. These are my useful systems. What are yours?
Yeah.
What are the things that that are invaluable to you, and for you being able to right size and manage through things that no matter what you're going to feel, are going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've had to talk to a therapist about my anxiousness about money.
Yeah.
Because I need a person who's not you
yes.
to tell me like, hey, this is a thing that you are worrying about too much.
Well, and
it's persistent, it's overwhelming, and you're going to be okay.
Right.
I still don't believe him.
Right. Well, and that person had to also come with me, because I couldn't be the person to talk about it with you, because I'm having to, so the things that are anxious coming up for you then would ultimately be transferred onto me, because that's an anxious. And that's what I do. Right. And I can't live that way, because we are in a marriage and we have children. We actually have to have some functional systems. I can't spin out of control with you about these things that you're worried and anxious about all the time, because anxious, not worried, because I don't have the tools or the skills. I have to live in life with you.
I know, but sometimes I want you to spin out of control with me just a little bit. This happened when I was on the road this week. This week, I was talking to you about something I was anxious about, and I shut you down. You shut me right down.
Shut down completely.
I didn't like that.
I know. You let me know.
I know, but I was just like, hey, I
need this.
I just want you to just be a listening ear right now. Like it's like I wanted you like, hey, just spin out with me for a little bit, and you didn't want to do that.
No, but then what happened?
You don't think that's good? You don't think that's healthy?
Are you asking?
That's a real question.
Oh my gosh.
That's a real question.
No, it's not good. It's not healthy. Did you just hear what I said before? Because I have to be in a marriage and a life with you. I can't always walk that with you.
But I need it.
I know. But remember what I had said before. You called back because you're like, I can't talk to you about this right now. And you called back. Or you hung up and then you called back.
It's also a move that I have where like,
yes.
I can't talk to you about this right now. And then 3 minutes later, I call you back. And I'm like, we're going to talk about this right now.
But what did you say? What did you say?
I mean, I know that I'm wrong.
You didn't say you were wrong. You said, hey.
I didn't use those exact words.
Yeah, you
but
did.
It's what I was saying without making myself wrong.
Right. You recognized the week that we had both had because we had 2 sick kids who were sick with different things.
They were both
sick.
Who
had both been home.
I was gone.
You were gone all week long. You had a really rough travel week.
Travel
you didn't get
awful.
home when you were supposed to get home because you missed connections. It was just a rough week for all of us. And I said that too. I said, hey, you need to recognize where I'm at this moment about your anxiousness and your worry, which is like, I'm already at 80% because I've been with the children all week with their different sicknesses. Great. That's our life. That's what I'm here for. But I don't have it to give to you right now. And then you said, okay.
I know, but I wanted to wallow in the mud a little bit.
I can't wallow with you when I've had a week like that. Sometimes when things are normal and I have more to give, I'll wallow with you a little bit, but not for forever. Because it's funny, you know, you say this all the time, like your old football coach used to be like, the only thing feeling sorry for yourself and worrying is, sitting on the pity pot gets you a ring around your ass.
Yeah.
Right?
The only thing you get from sitting on the pity pot is a ring around your ass.
Right. And which sometimes that's you spinning out of control. And I just don't have, when we're at the ring around your ass, like, okay, I gotta move. I gotta get out of here. This isn't helpful or functional for either one of us.
Sometimes I just want you to sit there with me.
I know. And I don't want to always come with solutions. Like sometimes you do need that processing time to figure it out for yourself and me not be like, hey, can we just do this? Same with the children. They've got to move through it with themselves. I just don't have all the time, which is why we have a therapist. In addition, looping back to that, because I can't just deal with it all the time. That's great.
Final question: is there ever a time when you're not worried?
No, because I think then that will be a time that I won't care.
Then why are we always? Oh, okay. Why?
I just care.
I was like, well, then why are we always worried about something? It's because there's a lot of stuff that we really care about.
Because I'm gonna always be invested in things.
I know.
I'm always gonna be invested in our children, in the well-being of other people's children, because that's my educator heart, and making sure that injustices are righted and all the things. And and there's some things I can't control. I know that there's the circle of concern, circle of control, but I'm going to be a worrier and then I'm going to give it to God because that's my method, right? And then I'm going to ask for peace and joy and try to not take all those things back all the time. I have this lie.
We'll see. I have this lie that I tell myself.
Okay.
That when the kids are out of the house, I'm going to worry less.
No.
I know. And every parent I talk to who has adult children tells me
it's worse.
You're going to worry more.
Because you have no control.
And it makes me want to puke.
Yeah. Because when they're under your roof, you at least get like the illusion of like, oh, we have a little bit of control because they're here and they're with us and we have them in our family right now. So
you're telling me that's an illusion. I don't have.
I don't know. Do your parents? I would say one of my parents is fine with all of us out of the house and she just prays, and the other one is constantly worried about us.
Yeah,
all the time, constant about like, oh. And then it just transfers. It's like, okay, my kids feel okay, but now I'm worried about my grandkids. I think you just care. I think, and I also think it's personality wise.
I think I need to be okay to lean into the worry a little bit.
I think so too. Great.
I think
and I'll try to take some off.
Yeah. I think sometimes
I'll try to let some go.
Yeah. I think sometimes I'm worry avoidant and I need to do what we're talking about. Just like lean into the worry.
Yeah. Well, we just need to practice being in the middle, not too one way or to the other. Right.
I feel good. I feel great. I feel wonderful.
Good loop back. It's great. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah. Do the things that will help you worry less, folks. Take your vitamins, eat well, or just work out.
Continue to worry, but do the things that'll make you less anxious.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay.
Great.
Good. Remind me of that when we leave here today.
I really will.
Because I'm going to be super anxious about something here in the next 48 hours.
Okay, you're going to be fine. It's okay. There's always something
to
worry about.
You're going to be fine. I need you to wallow with me.
Okay. For like 10 minutes. We need a time frame on it.
Okay. I was happy with 10 minutes. I thought it was going to be 10 seconds.
Okay.
As always, thanks for listening to this episode of Teaching Keating. You can find us anywhere you find podcasts. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. My friends, so grateful to those of you who have already subscribed. You can find me in South Carolina. Carolina this
great.
week.
I'm a little jealous of that, but I don't know how the weather's going to be. I love the
Well, my
Carolinas.
last trip to South Carolina got canceled
Oh, it
because
was
it
snowing.
snowed.
Yeah, that was a crazy year.
It
It's okay.
snowed.
All
Yeah,
right.
Molly, where can we find you?
Okay, don't make fun of me, but probably at Costco. Not probably, at Costco. Because we've started some new goals in the new year, and I've been a little lax in the last couple months about trying to be on point. And so I'm really trying to be just more intentional about like what I'm putting in my body. So I'm trying to be more strategic, really thoughtful. Not that all of that's at Costco, but I have a really specific list of things that I got to get. So that's what's happening to me.
Okay, here's a worry
time.
that I have.
Yes.
Do I have to go to Costco with you?
No.
Yes. All right.
It's off the list. Don't need to worry about it.
Thanks
I'll
for
handle that
listening, you guys.
parking
We'll
lot
catch you
on
on
my
next
own.
week's episode. Be well.